Hey there, trainer. With Christmas just around the corner, we are diving into part of the Pokemon universe that's been a gift to trainers across the world. We are talking about the Global Trade Station, or the GTS, a revolutionary feature that's been part of the Pokemon games for years. But as we all know, when it comes to the GTS, sometimes you get what you wish for, and sometimes, well, you don't. But hey, that's the charm of it, right? So today, we're going to explore the origins of the Global Trade Station, and we're going to look at some of the most asinine trades we have ever seen in the planet, and how the system has defaulted into a black market scheme. Anyways, here we go. The GTS first appeared in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, which were released back in 2006 for the Nintendo DS. For many of us, this was our first taste of trading Pokemon online, and it felt like we'd enter a whole new world. Before that, we're either trading locally through cabled or through wireless connections. But now you could trade globally with trainers all across the world, right from the comfort of your own home. You'd see, I didn't have any friends growing up who were extremely into Pokemon like I was, so it was cool to trade with other people around the world to get a Pokemon I needed. Unfortunately, I was still gatekept from using trade evolutions because you can't really trust the other person across the world to trade your Pokemon back. But yeah, the concept behind the GTS was simple. Players could deposit a Pokemon into the system and specify the Pokemon they are looking for. In return, the system would then find other players offering up their Pokemon in exchange. If two trainers needed aligned Pokemon, then the trade would go through automatically. But this simple premise opened the door to all kinds of insanity. Now, the GTS wasn't always about fair trades. Oh no, it became infamous for one major thing. The crazy bullshit trades people would post. Now, I'm talking things like a level 1 legendary for a shiny legendary or a certified hood classic. People trading Route 1 Pokemon hoping for a legendary. Ah, yes. Classic indeed. Though, some people did this just to flex on other people, you know? What people would do, right? They would post an impossible trade, and they would show off their shiny legendary. Or even worse, promoting their socials. But despite the absurdity, the GTS was a fun feature because for every impossible trade, there was that small chance you'd find someone willing to trade an awesome Pokemon. And that felt special in a way. Kind of like a treasure hunt. Besides, if you actually made fair offers, you would usually receive fair offers in return. You know, like trading legendaries. But with all bad trades, the system did need some tweaking. And thankfully, Game Freak was listening. Let's be honest, they didn't give a fuck. As Pokemon games progressed, so did the GTS system. In Generation 5, with the release of Pokemon Black and White, introduced some much-needed quality-of-life changes to the system. Unfortunately, this wasn't stopping people from flexing their female thunderous on the GTS and asking for an impossible trade just to flex. And with Generation 6 came out with X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we also got Wonder Trade, which gave us a more random and fun experience. It was basically the GTS, but with a lot less steps. And, you know, we were still offering, new Pokemon, The GTS became more, spread out because you weren't really limited to, trades at a time, if that makes sense. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm sorry. Now, hold on a sec. I've noticed you actually have an attention span considering you didn't immediately click off the video. Well, since it is the season of giving, I please ask of you to subscribe to the channel as I have a goal of 10,000 subscribers to reach. And I hope I reach that before the end of 2025. I know we are still in 2024 by the time this video comes out, but who cares? So if you like the video so far, consider subscribing. Now with Pokemon Home, the GTS has undergone another major transformation. Gone are the days of simply depositing a Pokemon and hoping someone on the other side of the world will want it. Now, Pokemon Home gives players an access to an even larger global community, making it easier to trade Pokemon between multiple games generations. Because, believe it or not, the GTS is actually on the mobile app and not on the Switch. So, everyone has phones, all that type of good shit. And so you could just, download Pokemon Home and trade the GTS from there, That's how Pokemon Go became popular, But because Pokemon Home is now connected to games like Pokemon Go, the trading black market has gone even worse. For example, everyone asks for a Pharaoh trim Furfrou, which is exclusive to Pokemon Go in Egypt. You can see why this is so valuable considering Furfrou isn't even in a Switch Pokemon title. Another thing is rare Pokemon are just more scarce nowadays. An example of this would be DLC legendary Pokemon where they're locked behind a paywall, and believe it or not everyone is content with dropping $30 on DLC that will probably still make the games mid. Because these said Pokemon are scarce, people are less willing to trade them, believe it or not. Because of how common shiny Pokemon are nowadays, that kind of put us normal traders into a disadvantageous position when trying to get every Pokemon. Because, I'll just, get a shiny Pokemon, put on the GTS, get something I needed. But you can't really do that nowadays because shinies are so common. One of the goals I have in Pokemon is to get a complete living dex. But I know that the GTS isn't really going to help me with that much anymore due to all the bullshit trades. I mean, sure, it can be helpful to a degree, but it's not really reliable as it once was. And considering on the 3DS, we don't have access to Wi-Fi anymore, that takes out the Generation 6 and Generation 7 global trade stations, which makes it harder to get all the older gen Pokemon. But let's be real for a second. Is the GTS still relevant today? With the rise of trading apps and third-party tools like, Pokemon trading communities on Discord, the GTS has kind of become the Wild West of Pokemon trading. While it's still nice to use some rare Pokemon for trades you can't really easily get elsewhere, it's definitely not as central to the experience as it used to be. Despite that, the GTS still has a special place in many of our hearts. It's a system that's always been about connecting with other players, whether we're looking out for the elusive shiny, or we're just trying to complete our Pokedex, or we're just trying to fuck with each other by trying to flex our female thunders, baby, let's fucking go! It's a great way to engage with the Pokemon world on a global scale. And who knows, maybe one day we'll get a GTS 2.0 with even better features and more accessibility. Me when I lie to myself. Until then, it's great to have the GTS still up and running in Pokemon Home. You never know what trade you might find. Well, that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment down below your thoughts on the Pokemon GTS system. Anyways, enjoy your Christmas, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.